What's up, guys? It's TJ, Men's Holistic Health Coach, here with you today. Today we're talking about managing your emotions, and I've spoken here and there about emotions on this channel before, but I really don't think that we understand the importance of emotions and the role that they play in men's lives. Men still have a higher rate of suicide in the U.S., and I believe that a big part of that is our emotions and how they affect our lives, how they affect our bodies. So if we are men who want to step into our ideal mind and body, be someone who can be at peace, be loving, then we have to learn how to manage our emotions, because our emotions, as we know already, can get in the way of life when we all of a sudden get triggered, we get really mad at a spouse or a friend or whatever it is, and we ask ourselves, where do they even come from? It's because we're unconscious of our emotions and our thoughts, the different things that are going on within us. And so understanding our emotions is very, very important because they play the biggest role in our lives. Everything in the universe is really neutral without human emotion. With human emotion, we're able to put value to things. We're able to put value to ourselves. We're able to enjoy life and to let our bodies express themselves. What exactly is an emotion? An emotion, in my opinion, can be seen as either energy and motion, hence emotion, or it can be seen as expressions. Because, believe it or not, we are always expressing some type of emotion, whether that's boredom, whether it's happiness, whether it's discomfort, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whatever it is, we're always expressing some sort of state. This is what I call our state of being. A state of being is the mix of our thoughts and our emotions, because those two play a lot on each other. And so what I mean by that is when we have a certain thought, that is imbued with a certain emotion. And then when we have a certain emotion, then that can be imbued with certain thoughts. It's what Joe Dispenza calls the thinking feeling loop. So if I think a certain thought about, let's say I have a friend who I'm not happy with, I think about that friend, then I feel anger within my body. My body is expressing a certain energy about that person when I think about them. So I have the thought, I have the emotion. When I feel that emotion of anger, I think more thoughts of why I'm not happy with that friend. And then you can see that it's a thinking, feeling, it's a loop that keeps on going, the thinking, feeling. And so when you have emotions, emotions can bring up certain thoughts. When we have certain thoughts, they can bring up certain emotions. And that's really how we go through life. All day we go through a cycle. Different things trigger different things. And it's very important for us to have awareness, mindfulness of what is going on. And so what are some ways we can practice mindfulness or awareness of our bodies? Well, there's many ways that I teach people, and especially men don't seem to be very taught in our society about emotions and how to deal with them. We're just told to be a man, to shut up and don't think about it, whatever, just do what you need to do. And we can see where that leads us. And so we can practice certain things like meditation. One thing I like to do is to simply just be in my body. So we can focus on things outside of ourselves, outside of our lives, on different objects outside of our, or not lives, outside of our bodies. So we can focus on different objects and people, and we can also focus within our bodies. I think sometimes a lot of us, we are one or the other. Either we focus too much on what's outside of us and we don't focus on what's within us, and some of us focus on so much what's within us but not enough outside of us. We need a balance of this. But as we can do both, then we're able to stay very present, because we can focus on certain things that are actually happening right in the moment. And focusing on things within our body like our heartbeat or our breathing are very good practices that we can meditate on. And these things will help us to be present all the time, because of course my heart can't beat into the future, it can't beat into the past, I can't breathe into the future, I can't breathe a past breath. These are things that are happening momentarily. So as we focus on our heart rate or our breath, that can help us to be present and to be mindful of what is going on in this exact moment. So what exactly would this look like in a day-to-day practice? Well, when you're beginning meditation, it's not going to be as easy as doing something, also paying attention to your heart rate, or doing some activity and also paying attention to your breathing. That'll be really difficult to start with. And so I'd recommend either in the morning or night you have that time aside where you're just going to sit, find hopefully a quiet place you can find in your home, and just sit and pay attention to your breathing, pay attention to your heart rate. And every time a thought or anything comes up in your awareness, practice on bringing your focus back to the breathing or the heart rate. Every time you do this, your mind's going to get stronger and stronger as it releases those connections to the outside world, and you put more of your energy and your focus into something that's already happening within your body. As you do this, the the desire to be focused on a thought that's going on in your head, it's going to get weaker and weaker as you keep focusing and refocusing on your heart rate or your breathing. As you do this, eventually you'll find deep peace, because you're just going to be this pure consciousness, awareness, whatever you want to call it, that's just being present, that is just being still. This is going to be very helpful for you, not only to be more at peace, but also to not be swayed by each emotion, each thought, with that thinking and feeling loop that I was just talking about. So as we practice simple practices such as paying attention to our breathing, our heart rate, we're more able to pay attention to our thoughts and the emotions going on within our bodies. So once we develop an awareness for what is going on within ourselves, how do we know exactly what we're feeling? I'm going to give you a very simple tip here that I've been using for the past several months, has been so helpful for me. Emotions do either one of two things. They either expand or they contract. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that certain emotions, for example, right now you may be feeling anger, sadness, depression, whatever it is, you feel contracted, you feel constricted. It might make your body tight. And then on the opposite end, when you fall in love with someone, when you fall in love with a certain hobby or an activity, when you feel joyful, when you finally cry something out, all these things, you feel expansive, you feel more positive, you feel like giving more to other people, you feel like helping people. When you're depressed, when you're sad, then often you're going to feel more contracted. Maybe you don't feel like talking to others, or maybe you do try and help others way too much because you're trying to get away from the contracted feeling that you feel. No matter how you deal with it, everyone is going to experience the emotions and the same feeling where you feel contracted. Think the last time you felt guilty for something. You weren't feeling expansive and loving and willing to help a lot of people. You're probably more feeling stuck in your body, stuck in this uncomfortable emotion, stuck in almost like a box. And we're going to get more into the science behind this, but until then I want to take a look at the Hawkins scale of consciousness. So on the scale, we can see that there is going to be certain emotions that are on the top of the scale that are more expansive. We're starting out towards the middle with courage. When we have the courage to be able to face certain emotions that we're suffering from or that are holding us back, and that helps us to be able to start to upgrade ourselves into these higher levels, these higher emotions. Because when we're able to have the courage to face the more constrictive emotions that we're feeling that are more uncomfortable, then we are actually able to go up in levels. And so it's kind of a paradox, because we think that sometimes look at a scale like this and we think that we must avoid the lower negative, lower frequency emotions, the constrictive emotions, to be able to get up higher. But this is not so. We have to realize that we are actually going to face these lower frequencies, these negative constrictive emotions first. As we face this and we become aware of the thoughts that are behind these emotions, then we're actually able to go up on the scale, and we're going to be able to embody more positive emotions. And so the scale is helpful to see where exactly we're at, but it's not necessarily something that's always linear. There's going to be times where we're up on the higher end of the scale, and there's going to be times where we're up on the lower end, all in maybe even 15-20 minutes. But we have to realize that it's not so much about always being on the top of the scale, but it's about letting go of the lower, more negative emotions that we already have that are keeping us from being on the top. Because really our natural state of consciousness as humans that are embodying the entire universe, our natural state of consciousness is really up towards the top of being expansive, being joyful, being peaceful, being in the flow of life. That is really our natural state of consciousness. But we have certain thoughts and limiting beliefs that get in our way, and they keep us more constricted and more negative. So it's up to us to find what is constrictive, what is holding you back from achieving your dreams and your ideal self. And as you work through those negative, lower frequency emotions, then you'll be able to go higher up on the scale. So maybe that scale kind of helped you to get an idea of where you could be at, and maybe how expansive you feel, how loving and at peace you feel, or maybe you're more depressed, maybe you feel really uncomfortable. Another thing I want to add is sometimes we still don't know because we're so used to feeling certain negative emotions. We also must understand that negative emotions can actually be very addictive, because of course we feel comfortable in what we already know. We tend to feel pretty uncomfortable when we start to change our habits in our life. Here's an example from my own life from recently. I decided I was going to start changing up the music I was listening to. I was used to listening to more negative music, more music that was verifying that I could stay in some constrictive negative state. And we're all free to do that. We're all free to stay sad. We're all free to stay angry because it makes us feel comfortable. It makes us feel more like a victim that's able to just pass on responsibility to other people. And that's okay. But of course, you're watching this video, you're probably ready to skip past that. You're probably ready to step into your ideal body where you're embodying these positive, good emotions. You want to manage yourself. You're ready to take responsibility. So it's likely not you that someone who wants to stay in their negative state. So I started listening to more positive, more music that was just better for the soul, music that's helped me to be just expansive. The only thing is there's certain negative emotions that I've been addicted to in my life, such as shame, such as guilt, such as fear. And I'm actually comfortable in these emotions. We all get comfortable in certain negative emotions because, again, then we don't have to take responsibility for becoming a better person. But if we want to become a more peaceful, more loving, more expansive person, we have to take responsibility for every single thought and emotion that goes through our awareness. And so as I step into a new person, then of course, better, more positive music is going to sit better with me. And so as I've changed the music I listen to every day, it's been very, very helpful in helping me be a more expansive person. And changing our music is another good way we can also help us to step out of that state. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's just like any other addiction where we're addicted to certain things. But in this case, we're addicted to negative states of being because we've been in them so long, maybe since we're a child. And that is likely where a lot of these patterns start. But no matter where you're at, it is good to start to attract and to find good positive friends, a good positive partner, a good positive music to listen to, positive hobbies. It's time to step into that new man, that new person that is no longer held back by negative emotions. Again, use the scale of expansiveness or constrictiveness to see where you're at. You don't even always need names to what you're feeling, although that can help. But it's good to just see, okay, does this make my state of being expand or my state of being constrict? And so as you feel out the different things you're feeling, and you're able to realize that all your emotions are valid, that you can accept your emotions and accept you as you are right now, then you're more able to step into that new state of being. Believe it or not, your emotions are affecting your body 24/7, all the time. Depending on whether you're feeling an expansive or negative emotion, constrictive emotion, then you are going to be experiencing the rush of different hormones. So on past men's wellness episodes, I've talked about different hormones, but we're going to review some. So if you're feeling more constrictive, more negative, you might be feeling more cortisol, more adrenaline. And then if you're feeling more positive, you might be experiencing more dopamine, more serotonin, more of these good neurotransmitters. I wanted to also add, when I say positive or negative, I don't necessarily mean good or bad. There's going to be times when we go into survival mode and we need to escape a certain situation just so we can save ourselves. Then of course we're going to be feeling some negative emotions. Fear is natural. Sadness is natural. All your emotions are valid. All your emotions are going to be natural. And I'm not speaking so much of being an evil or good person. I'm speaking more of being more comfortable, stepping out of chronic stress. Being constricted all the time or being in chronic stress all the time is going to lead to disease. We don't want disease. We want to step out of disease and into ease. We want to be able to live life where we're still getting things done and we're working hard, but we're doing it with joy, with love, with expansiveness. And there's another way that we can see this happen within our bodies. So within our nervous system operating our bodies, we're going to have two different modes that our bodies could be operating in. That will be either some sympathetic mode or parasympathetic mode. First, we're going to talk about sympathetic mode. So when we're embodying the sympathetic mode of the nervous system, this would mean that we're going to feel a little more constricted. Our consciousness, our focus is going to be very narrowed. And it's going to be narrowed on certain things that we perceive as threats. So whether that is a boss you don't like, a spouse that triggers you, a certain belief that you have about yourself where you have to work harder and harder even though you are already worthy of love. These are beliefs that are going to turn on that sympathetic mode. And then of course you're not going to digest food as good. You're probably going to store more fat because your body is preparing for perceived threat, doing something to you so you're not going to have time to eat. Whatever it is, your body's going to be expressing these emotions 24/7. And of course, we want to step out of this state into the next state that we're going to talk about soon. But as you look over this picture, you can see there's different things that are very helpful in the short term but not the long term. For example, we wouldn't want to be running from an actual legitimate threat. So let's say you're camping and a bear chases you. You're not going to want to be worried about digesting your lunch, or you wouldn't want your heart rate to be too slow so you can't run fast enough from the bear. You're going to want to be able to survive, and to get your heart rate up, you're not going to really care about digesting your food at that moment. You're going to care more about surviving. So again, the state is not evil. It's not good. It's just there. It's just a way that our body operates. But of course, this state is not good long term. So of course, we want to shift to what is called the parasympathetic state in the long term. And so when we're mostly in the parasympathetic state, we're able to let our body heal. Because when our body is stuck in the sympathetic state, or when it is going through chronic stress all the time, 24/7, then we're leading ourselves to disease. Of course, we don't want disease, we want ease. And so we should be striving to stay mostly in the parasympathetic mode. But when the sympathetic mode is needed, then we use it. And then we get ourselves right back to parasympathetic mode. We can stay in this nice, more easy mode by doing things like I was mentioning earlier, like meditating, pay attention to our heart rate, pay attention to our breathing. And another way we can stay in this more peaceful mode of our body is just by simply being. We don't want to be resisting the emotions that we feel, but we also want to be clinging to them and playing the victim role and saying, oh, I feel this emotion, poor woe me. We want to be able to see our emotions as they are. They're different causes and effects of the universe. And as we accept our emotions and let them come up within our bodies, then we're going to be able to heal, and we're going to be able to feel through these certain emotions. Because if we reject our negative and our constrictive emotions, then that's not going to help us, because they're still there. We're just rejecting them out of our minds. We'll need to let them come up. We need to be there for our inner child and let ourselves heal. To put all this together simply for us to really understand is really, it comes down to love. That is the simple, clear message here, is that we want to let all these different emotions that are, again, they're not necessarily righteous or evil, good or evil, whatever, they're just here. We want to let them come up within our bodies. We don't want them to stay, of course, but in order for us to heal, we got to feel to heal. And so we're going to let these emotions come up. We're going to heal through them by feeling them, being with them, seeing that a lot of these patterns are just from when we were a child. We maybe learned them from our parents, or maybe learned it through friends, whatever it is. However it's treating us, if it's too constrictive, we want to feel through that, let it come up, let it have its space for a second, and then we're going to forgive it. We forgive it by seeing it for what it is and realizing that we want to step in a more positive, more expansive state of being, a more expansive, loving body. So we do this by feeling through these emotions, by being with ourselves, being present, by paying attention to things like our heart rate, our breathing. And as we're more present and we let these emotions come and go, we feel to heal, then we're going to be just at a better, peaceful, more joyful, loving state. And if you don't believe me, try this for yourself. Go ahead and let those certain emotions that you're always pushing back within yourself, let it come up. Sit with yourself for 10 minutes today. Breathe. And as you breathe and pay attention to your breath, let everything else come up, let it come out and up, and let it go. As you do this, I promise you, you're going to be more and more peaceful. If you need more help managing your emotions, I got a book down in the description below. Click on the link. It's on Amazon for $4.99, only 20 pages long. I made it a very simple read to help us men to be better men, to step into our ideal body and mind by embodying what we need to embody, those positive emotions, so we can help others get out of their negative state, to help them get out of their constricted, uncomfortable state, and to help other men step out of disease. And then when we're able to do this, we're able to come together with love, with good intentions, and make the world a better place. I really do believe that as we manage our emotions, we can do all things that are possible, and do all the good things that we strive to do and that we strive to get done. We can break through our limiting beliefs and be a new person. Alright guys, I hope you have a great day. We'll see you.